A&S Gear rocks the largest inventory of any paintball retailer. From our massive selection of guns, to our endless supply of goggles, paint, loaders, tanks, and apparel. With your choice of free shipping on orders over $100 to next day, Saturday, or international shipping options, you get the products you need sooner. Shop now at ansgear.com.
Welcome to The Breakdown, brought to you by PaintballAccess.com. I'm Matty Marshall alongside Todd Martinez, and we are into the offseason between the 2013 and 2014 seasons. It was a great year, man, and a lot went on. We had some teams rise to the top. We had, I wouldn't necessarily say a surprise winner for the World Cup, but it was a very awesome year overall. Very much looking forward to the 2014 season, and that's what we're here to talk about today is, you know, what's happening with all these teams behind the scenes, the top teams in the league, the ones that are going to be the favorites heading into 2014. And then also, you know, one of the big questions, we have a little bit of news to break, was, is Art Chaos going to be coming into the PSP in 2014? The answer is yes. Todd, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, a lot of us that were there on the inside kind of talking to these people, you know, we knew it was going to happen. We were just kind of waiting for them to finally all put it together, and it has happened. Now, my question is who's coming with them? You know, it's like when Tom Cruise is standing there and he's like, okay, you know, I'm walking out the door. Who's coming with me? You know, like
Risky Business Tom Cruise? Or... You're talking about Jerry Maguire.
Sorry, Jerry Maguire.
I stumped him, yes. So, you know, no, you're right. Like, who's coming with me? And that's definitely and that still is going to be the question, because the writing was definitely on the wall when Houston Heat lost Konstantin Fedorov, Sergei Sonaiskov, and Miska Kiesnev, and they had all decided to leave Heat to go to Art Chaos, and so everyone was like, okay, well, Art Chaos has got to be coming in the league, but there hadn't really been any sort of official announcement. Everything was getting worked out, but it looks like things have been worked out, so Art Chaos will be coming in to the PSP Pro Division next year, but they're going to have to start in the Challengers Division. So, but then there's a lot of questions that, you know, let's talk about Heat real quick then. Okay, I mean, you can't tell me it's not going to hurt a team to lose Fedorov, who's ranked 4th, Sergei, who's ranked 33rd, and Mishka, who's ranked 22nd. I mean, those three guys were killers. Now, obviously, there's a lot of talent on that team, and according to Houston Heat, no one else is leaving other than those three guys. So that's, I mean, as bad as it may sound, the proof's going to be in the pudding. The proof's going to be, it's always about what happens on the field. So we will see next year. But who do you think Houston Heat is going to pick up from that?
I don't know. From what I've heard, they're calling everybody. You know, they got money to spend. They want to get some top quality players. From watching Houston Heat, we know that those three players played almost every game, and they were their core. They were the three players that were winning games for them left and right. But when Houston Heat first came into this league, we talked a lot about their supporting cast and how much their supporting cast was learning, developing, and really playing key roles in the victories that Houston Heat won. So it's going to be interesting to see, can those role players now step up, having that bond, having that experience, and being able to pick up some more players and take those players under their fold and make them continue to be a winning team.
Well, I mean, when you got Sam Monville, Chad George, those guys had big years in 2012 when they won 3 events. A little more hit or miss this year, but still, I mean, Chad George and Sam Monville are stellar, top-notch players and guys you can build a backbone around. I mean, you could just run Sam and Chad on the snake side and be totally fine. Who's going to play behind him? Nick Sloviak, man. You want to talk about somebody who didn't mess around when he got his reps? Nick Sloviak went out there and just destroyed it. Every time he got a chance to get out on that field and get between the nets, he did what he needed to do to prove himself. So, you know, Nick could come in, he could play a ton of points, and if he played like he did in limited action this season, man, you know, I mean, those three right there. And, I mean, LJ, John Woodley could step up. Yeah, and Dizon's a killer too. You know, so he still has a really good roster. I think they could contend next year. Let's move on, though. Let's talk about Art Chaos. Who else is Art Chaos going to pick up? I mean, they've also been calling everyone and their mother too, you know, to see who's going to bite at the opportunity to come play for Art Chaos. I mean, what do you think about Dynasty? I mean, Dynasty doesn't sound like they're picking anybody up. Doesn't sound like they're losing anybody. The question, though, is, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because Kyle Spica, he had a phenomenal year for them. actually was, one of the higher ranked players on the team, and really started to prove himself in this league, particularly in the first couple events. But he played with Art Chaos in Europe. I don't think he's going to go. It doesn't seem like he is. But
well, there's been some rumors that they've tried to make a move towards getting Kyle Spica. So, I mean, you got to know that, I mean, in Europe, he played with those guys, felt comfortable with them. They won a tournament there at the end of the year. Played with Dynasty all year, was a huge contributor, ended up winning the championship with Dynasty. So it's like, the Kyle Spica, he's in a tough place right now, but he's definitely not in a bad position, for, his future for going on in this league. What's he going to do? That's just one player, though. You got the three Russians from Heat. Is Biernikov going to go from the Russians? Because he's one of the other guys that played with Art Chaos in the European League.
Well, and when you look at the Russians, too, I mean, think about it, man. I mean, the Russians, they went into World Cup and they lost every single game. I mean, that's an event that they've won 3 times. And, the Russians, Moscow Red Legion, they are actually the most successful team with the 10 PSP wins in the modern era of paintball. They're the most successful PSP team around, and so they're in this big, definitely rebuilding stage. And they already have Kirill Pridny out with a torn Achilles tendon for God knows how long. I mean, that's the worst injury you could possibly get. He's rehabbing it right now. He's had the surgery, and I talked to him at World Cup, and he's definitely motivated to get back. But that's a big loss for them. And if they lose 2012's Top Gun award winner Alexander Biernikov, that's going to be scary too. Because Biernikov, even though he didn't have as good of a year this year, he finished 14th overall. But still, man, I mean, that guy is a stone cold killer, and I think it has more to do with Moscow's struggles and not so much. I mean, he's out there doing everything he possibly can at every point. But if they lose him too, I mean, that puts Red Legion in a tough spot. What do you think?
Well, if you look at Red Legion at World Cup, and basically their roster for the year, Kirill and Biernikov were their rocks. That was their foundation. Those were the 2 guys that stayed when they lost Mishka, Sergey, and Fedorov. So those were their building blocks. And like you said, Kirill's already down. That's a year-long injury. Depending on how rehab goes, maybe a little bit longer. So you may not even see him back till the 3rd or 4th event.
He was saying like 6 months, but
that's a tough injury to come back from.
That's it's the worst one.
And then you have the guys like Wheeler, Golev, both who struggled greatly at World Cup. And then you have all those new bloods. How are those guys going to pan out? When you look at the Russian Legion camp, you really see that those players develop a lot faster than in a lot of other camps. So, you really never know what you're going to get, but just as far as, hard-hitting superstars, you got to get those 2 guys back on the field. Definitely don't want to lose Alexander Biernikov to Art Chaos. And there is a rule that you're not allowed to jump from a Challengers Division team to a Champions Division team. So with both Art Chaos going to have to start in the Challengers Division and Moscow Red Legion going down to the Challengers Division, if they're going to make those moves, it's going to happen in the off-season.
Well, think about how tough of a decision this is for Biernikov. I mean, he's in a situation where he became a paintball legend on Moscow Red Legion and really has held it together for that team on the field. I mean, there's been a lot of stars that have come and gone throughout the years, and in the past couple of years. I mean, they've had some really good players on that team. Ax Godin was, and Marcelo Margot played great for him in 2012.
Justin Rabikov.
I mean, they've had tons of guys go through that program, but it's a gut check time for Moscow, and they've never really been in this position before. And you're always measured by how well you do when you're getting curb stomped, and not so much when you're sitting on top of the hill. And so this is a big test for Moscow Red Legion next year, as they will be starting the year in the Challengers Division. And there's a decent chance they could match up against Art Chaos, being that they'll be one of the top-ranked teams, and Art Chaos is going to be ranked at the bottom of the barrel because they're coming in new. So they could see each other in the first event. That would be a really interesting match, especially if Art Chaos does pick up Biernikov. So I don't know, we'll see. Let's talk about Impact real quick. We also have some news to break. It looks like Rainey Stanzik is going to be playing for Edmonton Impact for the 2014 season. Rainey had jumped over to Tampa Bay Damage for the 2013 season, this season that just ended, but wasn't a good fit for him, he felt, overall. I mean, he loves all the guys on the team, loves the program, obviously, and Damage is one of the best teams in the game, but I think he was just tired. He was tired of flying all the way to the East Coast, but then now he gets on Impact, and that's another team he's going to have to fly to practice with. I think it's a huge pickup for Impact. Rainey is obviously a great player. We're talking about he's, ranked 36th overall, 52nd in the G rating, 17th survivability, 25th win rating, 50th win fluence. He had 3 majors and 3 minors, penalized quite a bit this year. He played 131 points out of the 237 points that Tampa Bay Damage played this year. He had 76 kills. But Rainey is one of those great 2-3 guys, those back mid players that's a great support player. He can play pretty much all over the field as well and really take that front player's position. The thing is going to Impact now, they already have a Dave Baines. Of course, Dave Baines has been talking about retiring for the past 2 years, so we don't even know if Dave is going to continue to play the game. But Impact is so close right now, second in the last 2 events.
Well, I mean, you look at Impact all year, and I'm sure if Chris was here, Chris would be picking Impact to win the title, right now. But, they were one of those teams, in the offseason last year. They went out, they got Greg Sewers. They went out and got Dave Baines, Justin Rabikoff, and they put together this store-built powerhouse team of superstar players. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it paid off for them because they were in the top 4 no matter what all season long. And it was just a matter of when are they going to break through. And, now picking up Rainey Stanczak, I thought picking up Corey Bornstein at the end of last year, too, when he left the Ironman was huge for them, and he saw a lot of playing time.
Fear the beard, man.
But, you have guys that really stepped up, like the Yakimak brothers and Joshua Met, and now you're bringing in another guy who's super versatile, like Rainey Stanczak. Where is he going to fit on that team? It's not a matter of where or how. It's just like, how are they going to use him to his full potential?
Well, and also, I don't see Impact picking anybody else up now that they have Rainey and they have such a solid team, homegrown talent with a ton of imported superstars. I mean, that team is top to bottom solid right now, especially with, like you said, I mean, obviously Joshua Met, he's a great paintball player. And then also the way that the Yakimak brothers are really, every year, they keep getting better and better. So Impact is instantly a favorite to win the 2014 title for sure. Before we sign off, let's talk about Tampa Bay Damage real quick. What do you think about Damage? Also, in case you haven't heard, they are going to bring back onto their squad Jacob Edwards. Jacob Edwards, Jason Edwards' younger brother. And Jacob Edwards, he was picked up by Houston Heat. He left the team. He left Damage because he didn't feel he was getting the playing time that he deserved deep into the tournament. But we did an interview with him. Check out all the content we have on paintballaccess.com. But the thing is that, now he's going back. He's incredibly excited to play with his brother again. And I don't know if it was because the Russians left or he just wanted to go back home. He didn't really quite come clean on that. I mean, he basically said, I just want to play with my brother again. I want to play with the guys again. I'm over it. I'm ready to come back home.
I'm pretty sure that, he thought that the grass is greener on the other side, and not many occasions can you leave a team and then go back to that team. I think it's fortunate for him that that was his home team, his brother's on the team, and that he'll be able to go back without really a whole lot of things changing. But you could see as soon as he went to Heat, he didn't really fit on that team. They already had a full roster of 10 guys. They kind of already had their system, and he didn't really fit. It's not saying he didn't play good when he did get on the field, because he did, but he is a Tampa Bay Damage guy. He's going to fit in better in Damage. As far as how I think they're going to do next year, I really feel like as long as they don't lose anybody, they're still going to be the same competitive team that has the ability to win every tournament that they play.
Well, and scary that Keith Brown, one of their ones on the Snake side, and Rumsey Al-Yusuf, they just keep getting better. They keep getting better. They keep getting more proficient at their jobs, more composed in tough situations. And with the killers they already have on that team, obviously Damage is going to be a favorite next year to win events. And
if Kevin Brettauer comes back, that'll also be good for them. And talking about Heat as well, Jason Trojan is also definitely in for the next season as well.
Yeah, so it's going to be a crazy year, 2014. We'll keep you updated on all the information on paintballaccess.com. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you next time. Matty Marshall with Todd Martinez.
How many countries I've visited, how many miles you've traveled,
how many paintballs you've shot at different people,
how much baby powder I've used, how many hotels we've trashed,
how many places I've driven,
how many guns I've gone through, how much I love the game.
It's all the times that you had to tell your family that you couldn't be there for this or that because you were going to play paintball.
How many friends I've gotten out of it.
That's just why I love paintball. That's why I love paintball.
That's why I love paintball. But that's why I love paintball.
There are massive opportunities, both for the sport of paintball and for your business. If we are successful in taking our sport to another level, unite with Paintball Access in our quest to elevate paintball and broadcast it to the world. There are advertising packages available for any size business. Join us. Advertise with PBA and help us change the sport for the better forever.